Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Araceli, and if you're coming back, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Today I am going to be talking about all of my thrift tips that I have. A few of you guys have been asking on Instagram what tips I have for thrifting, and today is the day that I'm going to share all of my tips and tricks. Oh, keep watching if you want to learn a little bit more. Okay, so tip number one is to start small. And I have this as my number one tip because as a seasoned, I'd like to call myself a seasoned thrifter, even I get overwhelmed at times depending on my mood or how busy I am to tackle the thrift stores. So my biggest suggestion is to go to a thrift store and start small. And what I mean by that is to start in the smallest sections, whether it's the shoes, which is typically a smaller section, go to dresses, or even home decor. I know a lot of people really like to thrift home decor, and that's a good way just to get kind of in the hang of things, and it's less pressure, right? So you just kind of like start looking through things and getting into the mode. I even find myself doing this more often than not because every now and then I'll stop thrifting and going back and walking into a store that has racks and racks and racks of clothing. It's really hard to mentally prepare yourself to go through all of those racks of clothing. So number one tip, start small. Okay, so tip number two is to give yourself enough time. So typically I spend about 2 hours, depending on if I'm thrifting for myself or if I'm thrifting for my store. Typically I'm doing both at the same time, so it'll take me a little bit longer. So I usually take about 2 hours to go through a store, and sometimes I don't even check out the men's because that's really not my forte. And it's typically just women's clothing or shoes or home decor. So I make sure to give myself enough time during the day to really like focus on thrifting so that I'm not rushing around, because I find that if I'm like rushing and I have other things to do, I just never really get in the mindset that kind of in the positive mindset of finding things at the thrift store. That's what I found personally for myself. If you can thrift during your lunch break, that's so awesome. At one point when I was working a 9 to 5, I did that every now and then, and it was a good little break because it gave me kind of a refresher from working, and I found a few things. And those lunch break thrift adventures were usually at smaller local mom and pop thrift stores, so keep that in mind. Okay, tip number three is to go through everything. And I know if you go to a thrift store, there's a lot of stuff. However, I see a lot of people that ask, like, where or how do you find these things? And it's all just looking through every single piece of clothing at the thrift store. It's very daunting, but with the tips that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today, and as you keep thrifting, it becomes easier and easier to do it. So like I mentioned before, I usually go through all of the shoes, all of the dresses, all of the women's clothing, the different categories like jeans, shorts, tops and sweaters and that sort of thing. And I go through every single piece of clothing. And it's important to keep in mind that a thrift store isn't like a retail store where everything is organized. Sometimes you'll find a thrift store that color coordinates their aisles or organizes them by category. Like I know a lot of Goodwills do that, which is very helpful. But most thrift stores, they just get the donations and they put them out on the floor, and there's no organization. So make sure that you go through everything as much as you can, because that's where you're gonna find all those gems. They're not just gonna like jump out at you, so keep that in mind. Okay, so tip number four is to get to know your local thrift store's sale days. So this is personally my favorite day to go thrifting because, you know, your girl loves a good sale. So I don't like to miss out on those savings. However, I do want to warn you that most thrift stores that have sale days can get a little hectic because they're typically on the weekends, and during the week there's not as many people out shopping. They're usually at work. But on weekends, that's when a lot of people like to go out and shop and go thrifting. So I like to sign up at thrift stores, their email list. I know Savers has an email list, Goodwill has one, and a lot of the other local mom and pop stores also have an email list. So ask your cashier where you can sign up for that. So they'll send you emails about, 50% off, 70% off, or whatever sales they're having. Because in my mind, at least when I'm thrifting for myself, I like to go on sale days because it puts less pressure on if I find something that I want to experiment with, kind of like the shirt that I bought on a sale day. It puts less pressure on the item. Now, like if it doesn't work out, then it only cost me $2, and then I can put it up on my closet or give it a new life or give it to someone or whatever. So that's what I like to do. Okay, so tip number 5 is to get inspiration before you shop. So I highly recommend checking out Pinterest or Instagram for fashion inspiration before hitting up your local thrift store, because this helps you hone in on your style. And it gives you examples on what basic items you can get, like black turtlenecks or white turtlenecks, denim jackets, that sort of thing, that can really be versatile pieces in your closet that you can mix and match and make it really trendy. So I highly recommend checking out Pinterest and Instagram, which I'm pretty sure all of you guys use on a daily basis. So make sure to hit that up before you actually go shopping. And if you don't follow me already on Instagram, I will put my handle right here so you can follow me. I love to share all of my thrifted outfits and hopefully give you guys some inspiration on shopping sustainably. Okay, on kind of the same page as tip number 5 is tip number 6, which is to create a thrift wish list. And for a long time, I was creating thrift wish that's really hard to say. Thrift wish lists on my blog, and I haven't done one lately, which I should, but it's a really good idea to, again, instead of buying all the things that you find at the thrift store, it's good to keep a list so you can practice mindful shopping, so you don't end up buying things just because they're cheap. So I like to create a wish list that includes all of the things that you could typically see in a thrift store. So like I mentioned, turtlenecks, basic white tees, band tees, denim, jackets, dresses, that sort of thing. So that way you can have it with you. You can do it on your phone, or you can actually write it out like I like to do, and take it with you when you go shopping. And as you go through different categories of the store, you can, like whether you find something or not, you can check it off your list. And I guarantee you might not find everything that's on your thrift wish list at one single thrift store, but again, you can just find them as you go to different thrift stores. Okay, my last and final tip is to add everything to your cart or your basket and cherry pick at the end. So I've done this 1,000,001 times, is I find something that I really like, or that even I'm slightly attracted to, and I'm like, I feel kind of unsure about it, I'm gonna put it back. And then I leave the thrift store and I think about that item for 5 days straight. And I'm like, why didn't I just buy it? I hate myself for it. So I want you guys not to go through that. So what I usually do now is I put everything in my basket, everything that I have the slightest attraction to, or even if I'm like, oh, this is interesting, I'll add it to my cart. And at the end, I will go through my entire cart, and this is maybe where you can go through your checklist and say, okay, this is the turtleneck I was looking for, or you know, this one I could kind of pull it off, you know, like I'm loving this pleather trend, and this has elements of pleather, so let me go ahead and take it. So at the end, it's really important to kind of go through all of your finds and make sure that I feel really good about every item, kind of like implementing the Marie Kondo method is, you know, like if an item really sparks joy, I will pick it up. It's also really important to think that these items that are in thrift stores can be one-of-a-kind items that you may or may not see forever and ever. So especially like vintage items like this top, like, I'm not sure that I would ever really find anything like this in this color or even have these details. So I made sure to pick it up because it's kind of a one-of-a-kind item. So those are my thrifting tips. I hope they help you. And if you have any more questions about thrifting or shopping sustainably or anything really, hit me up on my email. I have it down below, and my Instagram. I'll have all my information down in the description box so you guys can contact me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you like this type of video, please hit the like button down below and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!